Well, as we were speaking moments ago, former President of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, and the Chairman of Peace Council, Abdullah, announced that you're working really hard to work with the Taliban in creating an inclusive government. As we see, Afghanistan is built of different ethnic groups. One of the biggest reasons why the Afghan government falls so badly was the centralization of power. I think for the Taliban to continue the regime, to be able to work and be recognized by the international community, not only they should respect human rights and let Afghan women and girls go to school and did not bring in a dark chapter to Afghanistan, but at the same time, they have to work with other political leaders. One of the things President Biden announced, and he said he did not regret his decision, I'm sure he's going to say the same thing today. He said Afghans need to build their own country together. I think the prolonged Afghan war, if you look at it, the political trajectory of Afghanistan the past 40 years, it has all been ethnic and always has been this interference of foreign countries. But traditionally and historically, Afghans do not get along unless there is a third mediator in the table. That's why one of the biggest mistakes I think that happened was that everybody was calling about Afghan peace process must be Afghan-led, because Afghan war is not an Afghan war, it's beyond Afghanistan. So learning from the mistakes, and the Taliban are new, they're engaged in a psychological warfare. They understand that the 1990s, the dark regime, beheading people are not working in their favor anymore. So they're smart, their strategies is to gain the support of people. As where we're speaking today, the Taliban have organized and secured Kabul city unlike before in the last 20 years. There's no robbery, there's nothing happening. What the Taliban are doing, they're going from district to district, looking for cars and military equipment so they could be able to seize. So in Afghanistan, no matter if it's the Taliban, Northern Alliance, or the technocrats, whoever want to come, they cannot rule by themselves. President Ashraf Ghani's biggest failure was his ethno-nationalist policies, bringing people closer to him from his own ethnic group and giving them high positions in the government. Like, for example, the former National Security Advisor who helped manage his Facebook campaign and Facebook page was appointed as the National Security Advisor of Afghanistan. Now, is that the default of Americans? No, that was a problem in Afghanistan. So it goes a lot, but I think the Taliban must work on some sort of inclusiveness. And I see the Taliban are willing to do such a thing. As we're speaking, there's a big leaders of Afghan Mujahideen, Northern Alliance, from Uzbek, Hazara, all in Pakistan. The ambassador of Pakistan tweeted this morning that he had a productive meeting with them. Taliban are disciplined enough to take Kabul within hours comparison to Afghan government. That proves that there is a stronger leadership. If you asked me this question 2 years ago, I would say the Taliban are not unified. Of course, there are going to be radical groups. Of course, radicalism, and if you call it more extremism, is in every part of government or regime. The Taliban overall, they prove to become or have a solid leadership in terms of how they managed. Look, if we look at it back in 1992, is when the communist regime collapsed in Afghanistan, the Soviets left, the Mujahideen poured into the city, they looted everything, and they took different ministries, and people were in state of fear. Thousands of people died. Unlike that, the Taliban said, look, we're not going to enter the Kabul city, do not fear, but we're going to enter in a way that to protect you. So I think that shows the discipline in the Taliban. But when it comes to how they work, what type of regime they want, or they're pure Islamic Emirate, look, at the end of the day, look, the Afghan government wants to have an Islamic Republic, the Taliban want Islamic Emirate. If they're both has the word Islamic contains in those sentences, let's merge them together. I think it's a long process. As Bilal Sarwari mentioned, the new chapter of Afghanistan began. Right now, there are Northern Alliance resistant forces, the VP of Afghanistan, Amrullah Saleh, all in Panjshir province. Look, I think it's time for all of them to work together. Otherwise, this new chapter could lead into more war and more civilized, more catastrophe and disaster. I think first the United States still can prevent a catastrophe and disaster in making sure humanitarian crisis to be prevented. Pakistan has a strong role. Look, Taliban emerged in Pakistan. They were supported. They are still being supported. Their leadership in Pakistan, their families are there, safe haven were there. So Pakistan can play an important role because Pakistan played a similar rule back in 1980s when the Afghan Mujahideen were fleeing the Russians and they were regrouping, fighting them. So India, I think, in Afghanistan, a regime to be built that is friendlier to Pakistan and India is, I think, in the best interest of Afghanistan. Why Afghanistan should be this clash of conflicts between India and Pakistan. At the same time, I think Russia and China, they can play a big role, because at the end of the day, Taliban leadership are tied to all of these countries. Afghanistan war also goes to economic war. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of natural resources that could be excavated and give a slice of the pie to all sides of the conflict. So without international interference, without international support, I can assure you that the new chapter can be a new chapter of war.